Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm doing a little live stream right now. That's topic I want to talk about, like Money in the Bank. Now, that's just a picture of people who might be in the match. You got Ricochet, Laura Sullivan, Aleister Black. Looks like Rey Mysterio, people like that. But like in Money in the Bank, I'll tell you one thing. They are high on one person, and that's Aleister Black. Earlier, looking at reading some articles, they feel that Aleister Black needs to get a big push because he has mic skills, good in ring work. He's pretty good at in NXT. So he's one of the people they're pretty high on right now. Is Aleister Black. But the question is every year is who should win Money in the Bank. Last year I was very disappointed that Braun Strowman won, and then later he cashed in unsuccessfully in a Hell in a Cell match. What's up, Derek? How you doing, man? Braun Strowman was unsuccessful in cashing Money in the Bank, just like John Cena, Baron Corbin, and Damian Sandow. There's been four unsuccessful cash-ins I just mentioned. A lot of people don't remember Baron Corbin unsuccessfully cashed Money in the Bank. I guess yeah, I worked 6 to 4 today. Yeah, worked a long shift, man. But yeah, Money in the Bank. Now, maybe Laura Sullivan could win it. That's another I think. Laura Sullivan could be that guy who wins Money in the Bank, and a lot of people wouldn't be happy about that. I've seen Laura Sullivan. He was in the North American Championship ladder match at Takeover in Chicago, I believe, and a lot of people weren't happy when they saw um, him climbing the ladder. What's up, Christy Ramsey? How you doing? Thank you for joining my stream. But Money in the Bank is actually one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year. We also have waving at you. Almas, Cien Almas. Cien Almas, Cien Almas is one of the best wrestlers probably on the roster right now, in my opinion. And Cesaro, now that picture you see right there is just a picture. Those may not be the participants in the Money in the Bank ladder match. But that's a rumored that you actually showed me, Derek, on Instagram. That's a rumored picture or a made picture or whatever. Um, but yeah, Cien Almas, he does have Selena Vega to talk for him. Um, Confirmed or maybe. Yeah, Cien Almas, I wouldn't mind him winning. I wouldn't mind Cien Almas becoming the WWE champion. My favorite, right now, I like Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre is all right. My TV talks to me. It's one of those TVs. But yeah, I do like Finn Balor, Drew McIntyre. My favorites are pretty different. Everybody likes Roman Reigns or or Seth Rollins. But talking about Seth Rollins, AEW on Tuesday. Power off. Yeah, my TV talks to me. But Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles happening so soon. Something tells me that match is going to end in a very sketchy way. I wonder if it's going to be a Money in the Bank cash in that night. Now, I don't like it when they get the Money in the Bank briefcase and they cash it in the same night. But now it's happening at Money in the Bank, unless they add on to the match. But yeah, like sometimes they disappoint me the way they do things. Last year when Braun won, everybody wanted Finn. I mean, I wanted Finn Balor to win last year. I didn't think Braun was even gonna win it. They even had Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens at SummerSlam for the Money in the Bank briefcase, and people thought that Kevin Owens was maybe gonna win the Money in the defeat Braun Strowman. They basically manipulated us, and then Braun Strowman squashed him in like a 1 minute match or something. I think 1 minute match. But yeah, but Finn Balor would be an alright choice. Cien Almas would be okay. Rey Mysterio is an absolute no. I do not want Rey Mysterio to win the match. The music guy? Now, they did John Cena versus AJ Styles at Money in the Bank, and I thought John Cena versus AJ Styles should have been a WrestleMania match. AJ Styles beat him at Money in the Bank, then AJ Styles beat John Cena at SummerSlam. Then they had one more match at the Royal Rumble where John Cena became like I think it was a 16-time champion there against AJ Styles. Um, although, I don't know who said it. Someone said John Cena's Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle said that John Cena is the most persistent wrestler of all time. But they had it so early, and I don't like when they have matches so early like that. I want a good match should be saved for later, unless they really want to make money and do it early so people buy the pay per view. That's the only opinion I have of that, honestly. Um, then you have Lars Sullivan, who I mentioned Lars Sullivan before. Roman Reigns is not a good guy. He's the guy. Not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's the guy. Roman Reigns versus Elias. I was saying like they're very high on Elias. They put Elias on SmackDown. Elias is kind of him and Shane McMahon are beating up Roman Reigns. Now, it might be a Roman Reigns McMahon family feud down the line or something. Roman Reigns, I got a feeling he's going to be WWE Champion very soon. Speaking of the WWE Champion, Kofi Kingston, you got Kofi Kingston. Dean Ambrose, well, he's not with the WWE anymore. Dean Ambrose might be in All Elite Wrestling. Yeah, Ambrose left. Dean Ambrose, he's not in the WWE anymore. Um, but talking about, I'll talk about All Elite Wrestling in a minute. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, they should have matches, the good pay per view matches right away. They should save them for later. Now, I would want Drew McIntyre to win if they'd let Drew McIntyre win, but they're not Drew McIntyre. I don't think he's gonna be champion anytime soon. I don't think they're high on him like that. you know. Also, Double or Nothing is a week after Money in the Bank. I think Money in the Bank's on the 17th or 18th or 19th, and Double or Nothing's on the 27th. So yeah, I think it's the 19th, and Double or Nothing's on the 27th. So I'm gonna be watching Double or Nothing. Check it out, see what happens. The question is, who needs to win the money? Oh, then we have Ricochet. Because people think Ricochet would be a good win. Ricochet might be all right. As far as Ricochet goes, he looks kind of small compared to a lot of guys. He's a great and Robert Roode, not Bobby Roode. Robert Roode defeated him on Raw, so that kind of yeah, yeah, you did. But Robert Roode, I actually kind of like him. You give Robert Roode a mustache, and now you take him seriously because he looks like Rick Rude. If you're a fan of Rick Rude, I'm gonna be a computer chair soon. Might sit here and watch Raw like this from now on. Yeah, yeah, you should be, Derek. I know, but but you gotta ask yourself: was Dean Ambrose really getting anywhere in the WWE? What was Dean Ambrose doing in the WWE? You know, was he gonna become champion anytime soon? He was a tag champion, became an Intercontinental champion. It's like what if now the question will be what if Dean Ambrose stayed with the WWE? Yeah, basically. I'm gonna grab my drink real fast. Yeah, think about that. People will say if Dean Ambrose didn't leave, he would have maybe became Universal Champion. I was talking about wrestling belts. Hopefully. I would, so you know what? I would watch Kenny Omega versus Dean Ambrose. Unless he goes by John Moxley, unless he changes his name. Or Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho again. I wouldn't even mind that. You put a WWE guy in a different company, you're gonna watch it. I mean, I'm not saying Chris Jericho was the biggest draw. Chris Jericho, I watched Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. You don't think so? But I'm saying people would think, if Dean Ambrose stayed, he would have maybe became Universal Champion. I felt like once he became a heel the night Roman Reigns said he had leukemia, that heel turn right there was going to push him to higher limits. But they gave Dean Ambrose this weird gimmick where he was like a germ freak and wearing a gas mask and not really living up to anything. And then awkwardly, the Shield got back together months later for their final showdown. Chris Jericho? Yeah, I don't know. I hope EC3 leaves and goes somewhere else. EC3 is not doing. He wasn't even on Raw. Ruined too. Dean Ambrose. I gotta stop mentioning EC3. Dean Ambrose, yeah. He became the WWE champion. Cashed in on Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. Had a feud with Dolph Ziggler, then lost to AJ Styles at Backlash. And then Dean Ambrose just went downhill from there. Like, he didn't do anything. He became the Intercontinental Champion again. But Dean Ambrose, in the very beginning, when Dean Ambrose was part of the Shield, Dean Ambrose, he was the guy we were all looking at. Dean Ambrose had the mic skills. Dean Ambrose, his wrestling skills aren't as great, but Dean Ambrose, if you look at his other wrestling stuff, he was more of a hardcore wrestler. Dean Ambrose, he in the very beginning, he was a whole different deal. And all because Dean Ambrose could talk, and he had a hardcore style. He could do some cool stuff. But Dean Ambrose, he didn't get nowhere. He wasn't getting nowhere. He screwed up. They messed him up. I think highly of EC3. Maybe I talk about him a little too much. Maybe I should just drop it. I see a lot of talent in him in TNA, I felt like TNA helped him grow his character and become better. I never thought I would watch Impact Wrestling, TNA, whatever you want to call it, just because of EC3. EC3 having that undefeated... Sorry. Him having that undefeated streak. That was interesting. His feud of Rockstar Spud, Broken Matt Hardy. Maybe. My friend had a theory about him that maybe he came to the WWE with a cocky attitude, and Vince McMahon didn't like that. Because Vince McMahon doesn't like him. I just see so much talent in him. It's kind of a shame they're wasting him, But, I don't know. Who else is kind of getting ruined on the main roster? We have, now Braun Strowman. Let's talk about Braun Strowman. Yeah. What about Robert Roode, though? And AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. They were in TNA. But Robert Roode, Samoa Joe and AJ Styles are big stars in the WWE. You can't just bury Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's the United States champion, which says something. AJ Styles was WWE champion, but you can't ruin AJ Styles because nobody would agree with it. AJ Styles, one of those rare talents. Samoa Joe's a whole different story, I know he likes AJ Styles. I understand that. I thought Samoa Joe would become WWE champion, whatever. I wouldn't mind if Samoa Joe became Universal champion. He's on Raw now, isn't he? Yeah, he's on Raw now. So the Samoa Joe Seth Rollins match, I think that'd be a draw. I'd watch that. I wouldn't be. I know he's the United States champion. I know it's not going to happen anytime soon down the line, but the Royal Rumble, Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe, that'd be a pretty good match. Maybe give Robert Roode a push. Chad Gable's on SmackDown. Maybe a Robert Roode Seth Rollins feud, like something different. I want a different kind of feud. I mean, we're getting AJ versus Seth very soon. That's okay, but I just hope that the match is really good. Yeah. But then there's question about that, talking about the invasion angle. Like they thought that the WWE would ruin Sting. That's been a topic for years and years and and decades about Sting. What if Sting went to the WWE? Would they had ruined Sting? Because Sting said in an interview that Vince McMahon was very good to him and everything, but you never know. You never know. Um, Maybe Vince wouldn't have ruined Sting. He ruined Booker T. He ruined Diamond Dallas Page. Chronic was another one they ruined. Those WCW stars are basically ruined. Well, yeah, it's a shame we never got Sting versus The Undertaker. They had promos before WrestleMania 27, which is actually referring to Sting, but Sting didn't want to join. Tell you the truth, man, I kind of wish Sting had his last match with The Undertaker or just never went to the WWE at all. His last match should have been against The Undertaker, and Undertaker should have beat him, and that would have been the end of it, even if it was a bad match. Sting versus The Undertaker, that would have been the biggest draw in WrestleMania history. Probably was Sting. If Sting versus The Undertaker happened, because WrestleMania 27, I don't think, in 2011, I don't think, it would have maybe happened. But, thing is, WrestleMania 27 was a very bad WrestleMania. The Miz versus John. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, you got Sting versus The Undertaker. Match we all want to see, but match we'll never see, honestly. Triple H versus Sting was not a bad match. The NWO DX coming out, that little angle there, that wasn't bad. That wasn't terrible. Shoot. Like, there's so much they could have done. They just didn't want to do it. I'm not really upset. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. Not even The Rock could have saved that show. And The Rock was the host of that show, of course. I mean, WrestleMania 27 had decent matches. Cody Rhodes versus Rey Mysterio was okay. Triple H versus The Undertaker was alright. That was a pretty good match. Triple H was basically just beating up The Undertaker, and then it ended in a chokehold. It's an idea. WrestleMania 28 was really good. I really liked WrestleMania 28. I love that show. That was my favorite. That was actually one of my favorite WrestleManias, kind of. Um, 27 had Snooki, a six-man tag match. That was bad. Edge versus Alberto Del Rio. I thought Alberto Del Rio was going to become the World Heavyweight Champion, which I wouldn't have minded. It was the very first match of the night. I remember I paid $55 to watch WrestleMania 27, and I watched the show and I thought I missed a lot. It would have maybe. But Edge versus Del Rio was the first match, and I thought that when I turned on the show, because I turned it on a little bit later than I should have, I thought that that was the I thought I missed a lot of the show, but that was the first match. And Edge is retiring the next week on Smack, the next night on Raw, so that's why he retired. I think should Edge have retired as champion? Crowed. I don't know. But yeah, like imagine if Alberto Del Rio won that night. Maybe Alberto Del Rio should have won that night. Why did Edge have to go out like winning his last match and going out as champion, you know? It doesn't make any sense. Maybe Edge should have just, you know, retired by giving Del Rio the belt. I mean, Del Rio was boring to some people. I thought Del Rio was all right. I didn't know much about him. I didn't watch in 2010. Oh, yeah, the crowd would have loved it. The crowd would have been all right. But Alberto Del Rio, um, in 2010, I didn't watch a whole lot of wrestling. I watched WrestleMania 26, and then after that, I didn't watch any of 2010 that much. I watched the Nexus stuff a little bit. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. It was Sting versus Undertaker. But yeah, in 2010 was mainly about the Nexus, which I didn't watch any pay-per-views, anything like that. I saw the Nexus storyline. Do you remember the Nexus storyline? You might remember the Nexus storyline. But the Nexus in 2010 made it kind of interesting. I think that was one of the worst Summer Slams ever in 2010, though. 2011. Yeah, 2010 was the Nexus, and then Wade Barrett won it, and David Otunga and all them, and they did this little rivalry where, you know, yeah, you remember the Nexus. Yeah, the Nexus were I thought the Nexus storyline was okay, but I didn't watch too much of Raw then. I didn't watch any pay-per-views. There was that match between Wade Barrett and John Cena. If Wade Barrett wins, then John Cena joins the Nexus, and John Cena joined the Nexus. And I got a little bit more interested. And then they had that Survivor Series where Randy Orton faced Wade Barrett and John Cena was a referee, basically teasing us that John Cena was gonna get fired. It was free or fired. They teased us. They basically swerved us to watch a very horrible Survivor Series. They manipulated us to think that John Cena might turn heel. John Cena pinned 1, 2, 3. 2011. 2011 was a pretty awkward year. I mean, I remember like the whole pipe bombs with CM Punk. There was a lot of the CM Punk pipe bombs. He just kept going on and on with them. And I just got tired of it. It's like he's looking at Bleacher Report and talking about Bleacher Report and things like that. You know, just kept on talking about things that we talk about. Started getting old. About the whole ice cream bars. 2012 was a pretty horrible year in wrestling. Sheamus versus Alberto Del Rio was like 4 pay-per-views in a row. They fired the writer that year. They fired the writer because he kept having the same stuff. The writer was horrible. So I remember reading news about it in 2012. Although WrestleMania 28 and Extreme Rules were the two really good pay-per-views of that year. Okay. Plus the Shield debuting later that year was pretty cool. 2012 was an alright year. As far as like the beginning to like the end of it, I guess, with the Shield and stuff like that. Honestly, I think 2013 was a worse year in wrestling. That was a very horrible time in wrestling. The Shield made it interesting because of the Shield, because of Roman, Dean, and Seth. And the Shield stayed together for a little while. Um, yeah. The Shield was what made it interesting. Everybody liked the Shield. Although WrestleMania 29 was a pretty awful WrestleMania. Yeah. Right now, there's so many good matches. There's so many good matches they can do right now that but we have a little bit more interest. Wrestling isn't terrible right now. It's all right. I mean, it just I don't know. I just don't like them. I don't agree with how they're doing things. I think they should wait a while, Not have AJ versus Seth, for example, but I guess you got to get people to watch it. They have Money in the Bank. I mean, WrestleMania 50. Nah, I can't go to Fridays, man. I already ate. I had Popeyes earlier, so I'm good. But yeah, like talking about this year in wrestling, WrestleMania this year, I'll tell you, man. I don't, and you don't have to agree with me. You can hate me for saying this, but I do not want the women to main event WrestleMania ever again. I'm sorry. That botched ending really made me change my mind about it. That triple threat women's match wasn't very good. It didn't really spark my interest. Maybe WrestleMania this year was way too long. Maybe that's why I got kind of a loss of interest in it. But like I don't think they should ever make. I think maybe Kofi should have main evented WrestleMania. The ending because that told us such a better story. You don't agree with that either, but yeah, like shoot. Yeah, like yeah, think about now Kofi as champion. I'm negative about it. Maybe it'll grow on me later, but Kofi's not acting like a champion, so I can't take him seriously yet. And I like Kofi. I like Kofi. I think Kofi's all right. Hmm. Yeah. I don't want to think about that, Derek. I don't want to think about those things. I've had a lot of thought about life right now and things and what I want to accomplish. I've been thinking a lot about things lately, man. Sometimes I wish I could stop watching wrestling. Yeah, I don't want to think about that. In 12 years, I'm going to be 40. I'm going to be 40 years old in 12 years, man. I got to take better care of myself and exercise. And I exercise. I got me a new Under Armour tank top today. I've been spending money. I bought me a new Dragon Ball Z movie, things like that. I never watch movies. I'm a Dragon Ball Z nerd. I only watch Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, you should check out Brawly. This movie here. Dragon Ball Z Super Brawly. It's a pretty good movie. Check it out, man. I just watched the other Brawly movie today. The first Brawly movie. Yeah, time flies, man. As you get older, you start rethinking life and what you want to do. This right here was my life for a while. Doing YouTube, getting subscribers, things like that. That was my life. Just wanted to talk about wrestling, be famous on the internet. That was a million YouTube views was my goal, man. That's all I ever wanted to do. Reach a million YouTube views. I didn't care about money. I just wanted to reach a goal. But now the internet is so oversaturated that everybody gets a million views. Everybody gets lots of views. The internet. That's just the way the internet is. The internet's kind of social media is going way too far to where my goal now, right now, doesn't mean much. So I don't even know. I just want to work out, get in shape, and meet hot women. I guess. Yeah. Yeah. I was born in 1990, man. 1990. I'm a 90s baby all the way. But yeah, man. I was wanting to talk about Money in the Bank. Who should win it? Who do you think? They say Aleister Black. But I'm gonna go to bed, man. I'll see you on Monday or tomorrow if I decide to talk about something. I'll see you later, man. 29 years old. Yeah, you're getting old, man. You might get my hairline too. But I'll see you later, man.